Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here today for a very important bill signed to provide additional property tax relief to the people of Colorado, small businesses of Colorado. We received confirmation this morning that initiatives 108 and 50 have officially been withdrawn. Of course, our legislature, Democrats and Republicans, heard the voices of hundreds of thousands of people who signed their names on documents saying that the legislature should do more for property tax relief, and I'm proud to say that members of the legislature changed their summer plans, canceled their summer plans for Labor Day, came back, and did work on behalf of the people of Colorado to make Colorado more affordable and cut property taxes. It's about what's doing right for Colorado. I want to thank the bipartisan legislators who stepped up and came together to deliver property tax rate cuts and protecting school funding and the future of Colorado. I want to thank the sponsors. You'll hear from Speaker Julie McCluskey. You'll hear from Senator Chris Hansen. You'll hear from Senator Barb Kirkmeyer. We also want to thank Representative Rose Pugliese, who was unable to join us today, but was one of the key sponsors of the legislation as well. This is really an example of bringing folks together who may not see eye to eye on every issue on a path forward that's better for Colorado. Better for taxpayers, better for schools, better for fire districts, better for everyone than taking great risks. This bipartisan bill went through many rounds of stakeholder feedback and amendments. Property Tax Commission, I want to thank their members for taking a look at this, for all those who provided feedback along the way. And it really will help make sure that Colorado has the stability we need now and in the future. While Senate Bill 233 did a lot of work and created a cap mechanism, this bill further refines that cap mechanism to make it more effective in making sure that homeowners have the assurances they need that they won't be priced out of where they live should we ever experience the type of value increases that Colorado experienced in the previous 2 years in the future. So part of that is making sure that we're not right back here if there is another unusual assessment period. Workable caps, relief now for every homeowner, specifically lowering the assessment rate for school district mill levies to 7.05 from 7.15 unless statewide value grows more than 5%, in which case it goes to 6.95. All residential property assessment rate reduction from 6.4 to 6.25, again with the trigger there that if there's sufficient growth to 6.15. And very importantly, this has been a long arc of replacing Gallagher amendment, which many Republicans and Democrats, myself included, came together saying we can do better than this. This is not a good policy for Colorado. It did one thing well and two things poorly. One thing it did well is it prevented home property taxes from going up too fast. Two things it did poorly is it put upward pressure on taxes for our small businesses, making Colorado less competitive. The other thing it did ineffectively is it applied a statewide formula, which was driven overwhelmingly by the Denver and Colorado Springs metro area on every little rural fire district and school district across the state, with negative consequences for fire preparedness, for school funding, and many other important purposes of special districts. So we can and we did do better. And of course, it was sequential. It would have been nice to repeal and replace at the same time, but instead we've had a multi-year effort on the replacement part. And I think that with this bipartisan work, the legislature has really completed a thoughtful way to ensure that people aren't priced out of where they live, that people get relief with a property tax rate reduction, that we undo that consequence of making Colorado less competitive by providing immediate relief to businesses. And, with regard to the commercial property tax rate, almost every small business, and think of, restaurants, stores in your neighborhood, commercial office leases, whether it's 10 people or 50 people, all of those leases, nearly all of them, are expressed as what we would call triple net leases, meaning the cost of property taxes is formally passed along to the tenant through the lease. That's the norm in the industry. So when you reduce the commercial property tax rate, that doesn't go to the owner of the building. It goes directly to the store, the small office, the restaurant that is paying that rent. And they will see immediate relief through that reduction of the commercial property tax rate which will be reduced over the next 2 years. Substantial reduction. And in addition, there's this classification of state-assessed properties. The biggest one, and frankly the biggest tax-paid entity, property holder in the state, Excel, but also Black Hills and Tri-State. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was necessarily deliberate, it was more just dollars thing. They were not included in previous commercial property rate cuts. They're included in this. And why is that important? These are regulated entities, Black Hills and Excel. Tri-State is more of a co-op type model. But in all three of these instances, the dollars that they now save on property tax, because they will be treated with the same commercial property tax reductions as other entities, directly pass along to ratepayers. So calculated out, that's about $100 less in your Excel bill over the next 5 years, about $20 less a year for 5 years. Similar for Black Hill, similar for Tri-State. And that's exciting as well in terms of providing relief in direct translation of what those property tax savings means to reduce people's utility bills. A lot of great work went into this. Again, this wasn't easy. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Senator Kirkmeyer, Senator Hansen, Representative Glazy, so many others who worked very hard to really provide stability for our state, to end the property tax wars, provide immediate relief, and a workable cap going forward that makes sure that any future increases in value don't outstrip people's ability to live where they have lived. Some other good things have come out of this discussion last session, like the portability of the senior homestead exemption, other improvements that have been made along the way. And with this final piece, I feel that we have the predictability and stability we need to save homeowners money and be able to do the budgeting for our schools and make sure that we continue to have, do not have the resurgence of the negative factor. Colorado is a leader in saving Coloradans and small business owners money on property taxes, and I deeply appreciate the work of the legislature during the extraordinary special session, coming together once again to really deliver for every household in our state, for small businesses, for school districts, and so much more. And with that, I will turn it over to our speaker, Julie McCluskey.
Good morning. Good to see you all. I want to start by offering gratitude. Gratitude to our governor, gratitude to my co-sponsors, Senator Hansen, Senator Kirkmeyer, Minority Leader Puglisi. They were terrific partners in trying to accomplish this work during a special session. I also want to lift up the voices of the many stakeholders that we listened to, who informed our decisions about this policy and who helped us deliver an additional property tax relief measure that also protected our schools, our local governments, and our special districts. As many of you are aware, we have been focused on driving down the rising costs that have been facing the hardworking families of our state. We've been doing that together. And this last spring, Senate Bill 233 came forward from the legislature with overwhelming bipartisan support. 92 out of 100 legislators voted yes on property tax relief that created a hard-fought compromise protecting all of those local services in our communities, as well as our property owners. It is unfortunate that we had to play defense, that we had to come forward and provide yet additional relief because wealthy interests in this state continued to bring forward ballot measures that would ultimately undermine the stability of our communities, devastate the ability for us to deliver high-quality public education in Colorado, and all of those special services we rely so heavily upon, particularly emergency services and our fire districts. As we look forward at this measure, I too am glad and lift up the words of the governor that I hope this is the end of our conversations about property tax for at least the next 6 years. It is important as state leaders that we help drive these conversations, that we convene the leaders and the experts to talk about how we can make property ownership more affordable, how we can help our working families, our small businesses in maintaining and staying in the places that they love. But just as importantly, we know that Coloradans are demanding high-quality education for their children, that they want access to all of the wonderful services that our local governments are providing, access to open space and parks, libraries, the infrastructure that is so critical to our communities. Those are the things that Coloradans care about as well. I am delighted to turn the podium over to an individual who's been leading the conversation on property tax through his years on the JBC and also at the Senate. Thank you, Senator Hansen, for all you've done, and appreciate your help on this bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's wonderful to be with everyone today. I believe today marks the culmination of at least 6 years worth of work. The governor mentioned the Gallagher Amendment. It was put into the Constitution by voters in 1982 and was removed from the Constitution in 2020. It was in 2018 when that issue got a lot of attention. My colleague, Senator Rankin, and myself sponsored the resolution to then put that on the ballot in 2020. And that's why I believe today is the culmination of 6 years of work. We moved forward with the constitutional repeal because it wasn't working for the state of Colorado, and the governor did a great job explaining why that was successful. That then led to intense efforts to create a stable framework for property tax going forward. For a variety of reasons, disagreements among many stakeholders, we were only able to do short-term relief packages in 21, 22, and 23 sessions. But I'm pleased to be here, part of this team today, to help sign this bill to create a long-term sustainable framework. That's why it's the culmination of this 6-year journey. I also want to lift up the incredible work of the Property Tax Commission. It's been my honor to chair that 19-person group with representatives from all the caucuses in the legislature, with representatives from county commissioners from around the state, from special districts, from fire districts, from the education community. All different parts of Colorado are represented on that commission, and we met intensively during the session, over the summer, and in preparation for the special session to discuss this important bill, House Bill 1001, which we'll sign here shortly. That work of the Property Tax Commission directly led to the bipartisan compromise that was Senate Bill 233 and led directly to the bipartisan compromise that we signed today, this extension of Senate Bill 233. We can also celebrate today the removal of Initiatives 50 and 108. Those have now been officially removed from the ballot in November. And on top of that, we've secured at least a 6-year commitment to not be back here like it's Groundhog Day, discussing more ballot initiatives. Instead, we have a long-term bipartisan compromise in place with this bill. The end result is exceptionally important for every single family in this state, not only because we're reducing property taxes, that is super important in a moment where affordability is on everyone's minds. It's also super important for everyone who has a son, a daughter, a granddaughter, a niece, a nephew, a grandson in public schools. We have a bipartisan compromise to never again repeat the negative factor. And this bill today makes sure that we have a sustainable K-12 funding situation for years to come and that we never return to a negative factor. It also provides a clear pathway for us to improve healthcare funding, service funding for mental health and other important services, and ultimately have a better path forward for supporting a higher education. This is important for every family. It's important for my family as I send 2 kids to public school here in Denver, and who eventually are likely to use public higher ed institutions in this great state. That's why I ran for office, to make things better for the next generation. I believe signing this bill today accomplishes that goal, and I'm pleased to be a member of this team. I now welcome to the podium Senator Barb Kirkmeyer.
All right, I just don't understand why it's so somber in here, because today's a really good day. And before I start my comments, I think y'all heard me talk about my 94-year-old friend who lives in a farmhouse pretty close to me. Well, I met with her a few days ago, and Governor, even though you're a Democrat, she said to tell you thank you. So just want you to know, she's paying attention, and she's happy that you are signing this bill today, and that we got this bill done. So I just want to make a few comments on behalf of myself and Minority Leader Puglisi, who could not be here today. She's actually in Texas, crazy thing. But again, thank you, Governor, because when I talked to you last week, I asked you to do this on Wednesday because I'm going to Nebraska tomorrow, so to see my grandkids. So, the thing about going last is, with everybody saying everything, is it just hasn't been said by everybody. So I'm going to say some of the same stuff, but not quite the same way. So I think we all know, and again, I'm saying this on behalf of myself and Minority Leader Puglisi. Since 2020 and the repeal of the Gallagher Amendment, unpredictability has burdened our state's property tax system. It's created frustration for homeowners, small businesses, and local governments alike. The people of Colorado deserve certainty. Certainty in their budgets, in their property taxes, and with the services that they receive from the state and local governments. House Bill 24B 1001 offers real, tangible results for homeowners, seniors, veterans, and businesses while providing that stability. We marshaled through the largest property tax cut in Colorado's history. When you combine what's going to happen in 2025 with 2026, it's nearly $2.4 billion. That's it. I know we were here, well, not here, we were at the Carriage House a couple of months ago, and we said that was the largest property tax cut in history. Well, this one is. This one is. We marshaled it through. And by we, I mean all of us. And I'd like to thank my colleagues. It was a lot of hard discussions, but we got through them. We've got a great bill. I'd like to thank the governor and his staff. In particular, I would like to thank your OSPB director, Ferrandino. See, you thought you were done with all those calls from me early in the morning or late at night? That was over for a few weeks. But thank you for all the work that you did on this and all the work that several people put into this. It was a team effort, truly, by a lot of people. I would also like to thank the proponents. They followed through. Even though I think one of the words that we didn't like to mention too often was called trust. We had some trust issues on both sides. But the proponents stepped up, they followed through and did what they said they would do. And as we all know, they pulled 50 and 108 from the ballots today. So again, not sure why we're all being too somber here today, but it's a good day. So we did take a very careful, collaborative approach in developing this legislation. We did not make compromises that would undermine the policy's effectiveness. Instead, we engaged in extensive stakeholder consultations and a commitment to collaboration, which included a letter that was signed by more than 50 organizations, a very diverse coalition, from the Colorado Education Association to home builders to United for a New Economy, counties, higher education institutions, hospitals, the Denver Foundation. I could go on. It was a very diverse group that we brought together. They don't normally agree, as you've heard. But heck, if we'd have gotten them all in the same room at one time, we would have looked like the bar scene from Star Wars. So, Governor, you're not the only one who watches Star Wars. And the result? A bill that works for Colorado. We found a solution that makes sense. Our bill is not just about tax relief. It is about building a stronger, more stable future for Colorado. And just like the good senator from Denver, I'm very proud of what we all did as well. Thank you.
Let's make it official. Here we go. It's officially the law of Colorado. Congratulations, everybody. We'll give this one to Rose. Yes. Thank you, and we'll take some questions. You're welcome to stay. They can direct questions to you as well. I also just want to thank everybody. Again, this is very celebratory. you know, the media always, you know, they don't want to show their reaction, but they're homeowners too, some of them, and so they're saving money on their taxes, and the hedge funds that own them are gonna save some money, which is, I don't know, is that
There we go.
Yes, you're independent. Okay. I also want the complexities of actually, you guys don't pay property. You're a nonprofit, aren't you? Yeah. It doesn't matter to you guys. Nothing. The complexities of property tax are huge. So, like, unlike something like income tax, state, you know, it's very simple. Oh, this is not charged by the state. There are over 4,000 districts of all different kinds. The most notable one that interacts with state finance are schools, of course, but there's many other kinds, and the school impact goes above and beyond just the impact of state budget. So that's why this is so complicated. That's why this is so hard. I just appreciate the work of the legislature. You mentioned Mark Ferradino, your own budget committee. It really is not just a simple thing where you change a number and there's like a different amount of money. So really appreciate everybody's work. Is there Spanish here? So let me say something in Spanish real quickly. Y proteger los fondos esenciales. Estos ahora también ahorran a los habitantes de Colorado $100 durante los próximos 5 años en sus servicios públicos para los clientes de Excel, Black Hills y Tri-State. Gracias a un periodo extraordinario de sesiones éxitos, pudimos lograr resultados reales y proteger nuestra economía y nuestro futuro y ahorrar dinero en impuestos de propiedad. Okay, happy to take questions.